Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Gallery. I am your host, Laura Ali. It's In the Gallery with Laura Ali. I am your host, Laura Ali. Um, anyway, we are going to get into a news story today. So, I have watched the cross-examination and the interrogation previously. It's been probably like a year since I watched it. So I thought it would be fun to kind of watch it together for like the first time. Not really my first time, but kind of, just because it's not one of those that I've probably seen 10, 15 times where it's like I know the next word, I know the line of questioning. This one's going to be somewhat more new for me, so I am excited to watch it with you guys. Um so we are going to get into the story of Anthony Todt. I think that is how you pronounce his last name. Um he is someone who murdered his family. And he did this in Celebration, Florida. Now, I believe they were from Connecticut. However, this occurred in Florida. They had a second home in Florida. So I'm gonna give this one to Florida. It's not gonna be this isn't Connecticut, you know? So we are gonna get into it. Before I really get into watching the cross-examination, is what we're gonna watch today. We may do the interrogation, but honestly, the interrogation's so it's just I can't stand how he just says everything so matter of fact. It's like this certain he has a certain um like confidence, like unduly or what am I trying to say? Like he should not have that. Like it's unwarranted. That's what I was trying to get at. It's unwarranted confidence that he has within himself for no apparent reason. Why does he feel so confident within himself? Why does he feel like he's the smartest one in the room? And that's what I've noticed. And it's like, yes, we can label them all these different narcissistic terms and stuff, but it's just like not everyone is the same type of narcissist, obviously. But he has this like air of confidence, like, yeah. And even while he's like shackled in the interrogation room, he's like, yeah, very matter of fact, yeah, I murdered them. So that's what's so interesting about this. He confesses to murdering his family in the interrogation room when they do when they do capture him. They were going to his house, not even for the murders. Like there was a wellness check that was called in, but they had a warrant for his financial crimes or his fraud crimes from Connecticut. So, from his business. So, it was going down either way, and I believe he was a physical therapist um in Connecticut. So, it was going down. It was going down either way. It's just really frustrating that these people, oh my gosh, like it reminds me of Chris Watts. Like, sir, you, I don't even know. Well, the Chris Watts part with him is the fact that he tries to blame his wife for killing the kids, saying she killed the kids and then he killed her to put her out of her misery or something like that. But it's just like he keeps saying, "Oh, I want to be with them. I wanted to kill myself. I just couldn't." It's like you are a complete coward. You kill children, 3 children. I believe he had 3 children, and then you are and your wife and the dog and I'm glad they gave him an extra count for the dog. I mean, it was so due because it was like you killed the dog for no apparent reason as well. Like that was unnecessary. And I'm not saying obviously killing the kids was way more unnecessary, but it was like the dog isn't going to tell, you know? Like whereas maybe the kids could. And I'm not saying that justifies it, but I'm just saying you get what I'm saying. Okay? I don't think I need to make it into a whole explanation of, obviously I don't want him to kill anyone. If I can just say that. But anyway, so the murders occurred in 2019 and he was found guilty in 2022. So here we are, just kind of going through it. um I don't think his wife knew a single thing about these financial crimes. And this is what terrifies me about, really about, like, my husband, I hope that my husband, like, I'm engaged now, but my husband, when we were married, if he murders someone, I mean, excuse me, if he murders me, that would be horrible. But if he was capable of murdering someone, it's like, I wish I would know that. And I know everyone would say that. I have like this thing in my throat, guys. I'm sorry. But I like, I wish there was a way to know. I wish there was like a test you can take, like, oh, he might murder, you know? And it's like, I don't think the wife had any idea. And it goes back to the financial stuff. It's like, I don't think she knew. So, for instance, I'm just going to tell you guys a quick story. This is completely off topic from the murder, but sorry, I don't know what this is in my throat. So, I work in property management, and I've had incidences where people do not pay their rent on time. You know, that's a thing, right? And they're facing eviction, right? And my number one fear of presenting someone with a potential eviction is the fact that, because I don't know what other financial issues they may be going through aside from, what may be on the obvious, what may be the obvious if there's something on the credit report when they first moved in. But I don't know what additional stuff they may be going through. I've had people that have lived in a building for 5, 10, 15 years, and you just don't know when things are going to go left for them, so it's really sad, it's really unfortunate. But my point of saying this is, my biggest fear is that, like, someone will annihilate their family or something because they can't afford to pay their rent, like, that is something that terrifies me. And I'm sure that's a family annihilators tend to be in debt. They tend to be going through some type of financial woes, and they feel like it's just better to kill their family than to pay their bills or to get another job or to he was facing financial crimes because he was committing fraud, I believe, in Connecticut. I don't know the full story on that. I would have to really look into it. And I think he would have gone to jail, just, fine. Why kill the wife and the kids? Why? Like, it's not like she could have gotten a job. She could have figured it out. I'm sure if you gave her a choice and you said, "Do you want me to just end your life and the kids, or do you want to get a job while I go to prison?" It's like, I think I would get a job. It's okay. So it's like, I don't understand. I think it's like the embarrassment. I think it's the failure, possibly, that family annihilators annihilate. But I will never understand it, because it's just like, you didn't have to do that. Like, it's different than even a crime of passion or something like that, or, and I'm not justifying that, but it's just like, you did not have to murder your family for financial gain, or not even financial gain. It's like, just to escape your financial woes. Anyway, that's a long intro to what I want to get into today, which is this case. I just wanted to kind of give a general read on where we are right now and where this investigation goes. So, just to close out the rest of the story, he ends up being found guilty. Surprise, surprise. And this is going to be his testimony. So let me do my little switcheroo here, guys. I'm getting a little bit better, smoothing it out. You know how we do. Okay.
You gotta recall Anthony Todt.
Todt, if you'll please remain standing where you swear you in.
I will say there's going to be some parts I do slow it down just a bit because I think there's there's a lot to be said within certain tone and inflection and the timing of your speech. So just a heads up on that, guys.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to enter in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am. Please, thank you.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Anthony John Todt.
What is your age?
46.
Mr. Todt, we've heard testimony about a woman named Megan Todt. Are you familiar with that person?
Yes.
And were you, in fact, married to Megan Todt?
Yes.
When did you first meet her?
It was high school of 1992.
And where was that?
In Montville, Connecticut. Sorry, Montville, Connecticut. Montville.
And did you and Ms. Todt, well,
It's Montville, Connecticut. I'm not familiar with that part of Connecticut. I'm from New York, but that I think I do remember hearing that it was further up in Connecticut, so it just may be. I'm gonna look it up and see where it is.
you and Megan, we've used first names throughout the case, so I'll do it to that. Make it hard to remember. Did you become married or become a couple?
Yes.
Now, did you attend the university in the state of Connecticut?
Yes.
And where did you go to school?
Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Did Megan also become a student at Sacred Heart?
Yes, she was 2 years behind me.
What was your course of study?
Undergraduate work.
Okay, I do know Fairfield, Connecticut, and as I look it up, it's in New London County, Connecticut, which I do know. I think it's like 2 hours or so from New York City, give or take. Um, Great part of Connecticut though, quiet and Connecticut has some really great parts. So where they're from, I would just say it's more of a obviously suburban area. Uh they're probably close to, if anyone's familiar with like Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods in Connecticut, they're probably not too far from that. Um, but it signifies that they do live somewhat more of a suburban, idyllic uh, American life. And kudos to them for working to achieve that, or until things did not work out. Yeah, unfortunately.
Major in psychology with a concentration in health psychology, with a declared minor of pre-physical therapy, and then I finished my master's degree of science in physical therapy.
Right. Now, did your wife, when did you marry Megan? Was that in college or later?
I had graduated from college already, and she was in her second to last year of college.
What field did she study?
She had the exact same credentials as myself, physical therapy.
Did you practice in the field of physical therapy?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with medical terms and medical procedures?
Most definitely, sir.
How long did you practice as a physical therapist?
I received my license in August of 1999 and was practicing up until the current.
Was Megan also involved?
There's nothing more annoying to me than when people when it doesn't matter who's questioning them, defense, prosecution, doesn't matter. But when they answer the questions to the jury, I don't care who the witness is either. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe when it's expert witnesses, I don't mind as much, but it really gets under my skin. Like, I don't know if anyone watched the Amber Heard, but like she was constantly just like talking to the jury, but like in a almost condescending way. And that's kind of what vibe he gives me right now. That like I'm gonna look over at you and like feel you guys out while I'm answering you. I don't like it. I don't know what it is, but it really just it gets to me.
The practice with you?
In the practice of physical therapy, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Whereas I did more hospitalist, nursing care, home care, and outpatient, she concentrated most of her time as a pediatric specialist and did work sometime in nursing homes when we traveled.
What were the circumstances that brought your family to Celebration?
Initially, my wife and I bought the condo in Celebration in July of 2005 when we were a traveling physical therapists, which means they put us around the country either to cover for what they call snowbird season or people got on maternity leave. They were generally minimum of 13-week assignments, and they could be extended. We first went out to California, wonderful time. Then we came down to Florida and found that since we sold our initial condo in Connecticut, we didn't have any deductions. So we bought the condo in Celebration as a partial investment, partially primary home, because part of our contract with our traveling company is they pay for our residence. So at the current time, they're paying for a rental. Why have the company pay for a rental when they can pay for your actual house and help with your mortgage payments? So we bought the condo in July 2005.
Interesting. I mean, if that is true, that is pretty that is pretty interesting because they're going on these assignments, these physical therapy assignments, and if they're going to get a stipend anyway for housing, might as well let the stipend pay for your home. That that's actually not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all, actually. If that is true, though. I don't trust a word he says.
When would you like me to continue?
Let me ask one thing at this point. What was the status of Megan's health when you first met her?
When I first met Megan, sorry, I just need to collect myself. Megan had initially been diagnosed as a teen with Lyme disease, in which was, they say Lyme disease goes into remission, they say Lyme disease goes into just recesses and waits another day to invade, all depending on your immune system, all depending on what research shows and who you follow. She also was diagnosed right around middle school, right before I met her, with a heart issue. This heart issue they diagnosed as mitral valve prolapse and a murmur. They also diagnosed arrhythmias, at which time I found out after I started dating Megan in high school, because I asked her one time. We used to go out to dinner all the time. We used to, normal dating. Ask your next question, Mr. West.
I'm trying to ask you more questions that have a shorter answer.
I apologize, sir.
And then when you married Megan, what was the status of her health?
Yeah, the objection I believe was to like he's just going off on like a tangent without any questions being asked, and he's giving his own narrative. Like no one's asking for story time. You're on the stand to answer questions. So that explains the objection.
Generally?
Generally, she was healthy. She avoided caffeine and she avoided sugars because of the heart issue previously mentioned.
And then, did there come a time when Megan began to have health problems?
Yeah.
And about when was the onset of that?
March 2011.
And what are the conditions that she experienced?
We were vacationing. I apologize. We were vacationing in Florida, and we were at a theme park, and she got hit by a bug.
Okay, first of all, let me just say this. The fact that he is about to break down in tears in the first 5-ish minutes of him testifying, and he didn't cry not once during that interrogation. It was like a 2-hour interrogation, and he's all matter of fact about murdering her and the kids. And now he's like, oh my God, I can't even talk about her illness or talk about her in the past. Like, what do you talk when you were talking about the murder? You had no issue talking at all. This is, oh my gosh.
She described this bug as a six-legged black bug with a red mark on the back that reminded her of the state of Texas. I didn't see the bug. It was at the end of the day, and this bug bite, which you would think was innocuous, turned into this yellow, green, I can't even describe, pustule. It was a gigantic whitehead. So we went home that night. I went home to the hotel where, it was a hotel at the time, because of the issue.
And about what? That was in 2011, you say?
March 2011, sir.
And then in the ensuing year, did Megan develop any other health complications?
Oh, yeah. Through many trips to the hospital, many trips to the ER, cardiac critical care units, she was diagnosed with a multitude of diagnoses, I guess you want to say. First of which was, they found that she had drug-induced hepatitis. Sorry, first, I apologize, let me back up. They diagnosed her with tonsillar cellulitis. She had these gigantic white pustules on her tonsils.
So please forgive me, guys. I did not watch the entire trial. So I don't know what their strategy is right now with the defense. But how is this relevant? Are they trying to say that she, being that Megan had these health issues? Because I know their defense was that he's gonna blame it on her. Spoiler alert, guys. He's gonna blame it on her. But I know that he's gonna blame it on her, but is he trying to say that being that she was sick, that she wanted to kill the kids too and herself? Because I know it was something about like a doomsday. I think it was something about a doomsday, or like she became obsessed with, that's what he claimed, that she became obsessed with some type of end of the world kind of thing. Not on some Lori Vallow stuff, but I wonder, now that I say that, I wonder if he tried to, now that I say that, like that just came, I wonder if he watched, because Lori Vallow was around the same time right? Lori Vallow was around 2019 when JJ and Tylee went missing. Um, okay, they were charged, but when did they go missing? They were charged in 2021, but I know we were wondering where were the kids for the longest time. This is off topic. Okay, July of 2019 is when they suspect, oh no, that's when they killed Charles. Um, this is off topic. I'm sorry, guys. It was around that time. I'm trying to find the exact disappeared. Okay, her disappearance date, Tylee's disappearance date was September 2019, and JJ's disappearance date was September 2019 as well. So about 2 weeks apart. Anyway, I say all that to say, I wonder if he got all this hoopla story from just trying to copy that. Okay, I digress.
Her lymph node was just totally enlarged and trouble breathing. In subsequent visits to the ER, subsequent visits to the doctors, they found that she acquired, through the medical aspect, what's called drug-induced hepatitis. So her liver became inflamed, very much so, that it was malfunctioning, to put it lightly. Her eyes were, at one point, the color of the most fluorescent yellow highlighter you've ever seen in your life. I swear her eyes could...
Mr. Todt,
Yes,
did there come a time then, at that occasion when she had the hepatitis, that it affected her lifestyle or what she could do?
most definitely. My wife, she was a yoga teacher, in addition to a physical therapist. She went from a very strong, vibrant woman to barely holding on to 90 pounds. She couldn't keep weight on. She couldn't.
I see. What they're trying to do, the narrative they're trying to create is that she had Lyme disease, and because of that Lyme disease, she began to suffer bouts of depression and she became more isolated. She, didn't want to do the normal things that she used to do because of the disease. I see where they're going with this, but they're really pushing it. There's so many people with Lyme disease.
Her heart rate progressively was going crazy. At rest, it would be 190 or above. EKGs, all that kind of stuff. Saw her throwing atrial fibrillations, ventricular PVCs, it's basically your heart operates in a synchronous motion. Okay, valves pump on rhythm. Her valves and her chambers were beating all irregular. It was basically you take four wheels of a car.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of medical knowledge and narrative.
It's a narrative sustained.
Mr. Todt, what medical training have you?
Yeah, he's over here trying to be an expert witness at the same time while testifying in his wife's murder trial as the defendant. It's like, this is not the time. This is not the time. It you could just tell by the way he's talking. It's like he wants to just get through his rehearsed story right now. It's really annoying.
In conjunction with the physical therapy?
I appreciate you asking that, sir. 20 years of medical experience working in a hospital, case review charts, home care, meaning that not only was I operating under a nurse or with a nurse individually at a house, I was also opening cases on my own, which means I received medical information, medical records from the doctors and from the hospital themselves to be interpreted, to be reviewed, and to be deciphered so that I can.
I know it's sped up, but he is indignant right now. He is, I'm telling you, he is. I can slow it down just so you guys can see how indignant he is while he says this.
Properly give the appropriate care within their medical limits to the patient.
Thank you for that background. Now, as your wife continued with her health issues, what was her attitude or outlook or demeanor?
Her demeanor went from a very vibrant young woman in which literally we were best friends. As dating, we always knew we would remain best friends. That's how close we were. We dated for 8 years before we were married. Her family was my family, okay? Her grandparents were my grandparents. That's how close we were, okay? She went from, even though she remained the light of my life, whenever she walked into a room, literally, after almost 20 years of marriage, my stomach would have those butterflies in it, seeing my wife. I existed, but she went from...
Ask the question again, Mr. Wilson.
Now, at that point in time, did you have children?
At the time she got sick, sir?
Sorry?
At what point in time, sir?
When we're talking about this period in her life, when she had gone, when she was less vibrant or less
Yeah.
her demeanor changed.
Before she got sick, we were blessed with two wonderful boys. Okay? She went from a mom who provided for everything including myself, I consider myself a third kid, okay? To a person who could barely walk stairs on certain days.
He
We
he
hired, with
was
the
a
help
third
and the
kid.
assistance of our family, we hired I guess you want to say a mother's helper, okay? In which to come in, help bring the kids to school, which is something my wife,
What I'm going to ask you to do is to try and I'll try and
Wait a minute. I just realized him saying he was the third kid. Didn't they have 3 kids? So wouldn't he have been the fourth kid? I just what in the world? Yeah, they had 3 kids. Alec, age 13, Tyler, age 11, and Zoe, age 4. He just said that. He said he would have been like he considered himself the third kid. Hmm.
correct you so that we don't have long extensions, so it's easier for everyone to understand what we're talking
I
about.
apologize, sir. It's been 2 years since I've been able to tell my story. I appreciate you working with you.
Do you and Megan attended Sacred Heart, which was a Roman Catholic university, is that true?
That's the debate. It's Roman Catholic by name, but it was considered Jesuit run, which I don't know where the derivation between those two run.
But were you raised in the Catholic Church?
I was raised in the Roman Catholic Church and continue to practice as such, sir.
Do you know whether Megan was raised in the Roman Catholic Church?
Megan was raised in the Roman Catholic Church. However, before she went to college, her and her mother and father did shy away from it, but she did get confirmed before we got married.
As you progressed as a family, did Megan seek other religious experiences?
Most definitely, sir.
And what was the reason for that?
When she got sick, we were under the model of traditional med. That's the way we were trained. Medicine helps. Progression of her disease process, we went more alternative. Or she went more alternative, I should say, because we were told to stay away from medications. Alternatives were not working. Through her yoga practice and her yoga certification, she got introduced to, I guess you want to say, an Eastern religion, Hindu and based. I always thought it was Buddhist, but it was actually Hindu. And she shied away from the Roman Catholic Church. And her progression of her religion through that religion and her following also took over her medical outlook and her medical treatment.
Again, they're trying to build their foundation of her being involved in this outward thinking, this Eastern religion. It's just
Herself as she shied away from unsuccessful medical interventions.
Around that time, was there a calamitous event in the life of Megan's parents?
Before the birth of my first son, in November of 2002, her father hung himself.
why is he acting like he's on the verge of tears? He's not. This is complete acting. I'm going to slow it down just a bit because I really want to take in how much he's acting right now. Like, this is ridiculous.
She was very close with her father. She was not close with her mom. I was very close with her father. He was one of my good friends, one of the few males I trusted. One of the things I totally enjoyed about the relationship with her and her family was her relationship with her father. She was that close with him.
Right, sir. And then also, along with having 3 children yourself with Megan, she suffered miscarriages, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did that also affect her approach towards her health or approach towards how she carried on day to day?
The first miscarriage happened when she first got bit by that bug. And before the whole progression of the disease, in the process under it, there was, of course, depression and that kind of stuff for losing a baby. And then
You see how he just glossed over that? Of course, there was that kind of depression and stuff when you just lose a baby. That is something to talk about. The depression from a miscarriage is significant. It can be. Not everyone's different, but can be very significant, can be life changing. And he's just like, oh, yeah, a little bit.
2019, September actually, we were blessed. We found out that a simple weekend away, we conceived. And she went from being depressed to very happy, dancing, singing, something that I hadn't seen in forever. And we lost the baby. And it affected her big time. and obviously affected me, but she went from that singing, humming, dancing person to not, to days that she didn't even get out of bed.
What was the religious group that she had migrated towards, the Eastern religion? Did you ever attend their services with your wife, or?
I was very supportive of my wife. I did not understand, nor did I follow this religious aspect. I was Roman Catholic. The way I was raised in a military family. My stepfather was a very proud military man. I was taught respect. I might.
Unresponsive.
Repeat your question, Mr.
The
Wilson.
question that was asked was, let me ask an entirely different question so no confusion. I want to make sure I tie up some loose ends. You mentioned Lyme disease, and that's somewhat prevalent in New England, is that correct?
It seems like everybody has Lyme disease, yes?
And that is transmitted by insects, bugs also, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And then what were the effects on that of your wife that you noticed?
When the Lyme disease became apparent and positive, she had breathing problems, heart rate problems, chronic pains. When she had what was called exacerbations, so without getting too technical, your immune system is the best thing to keep any disease at bay. So whenever she didn't feel well, got sick, the Lyme would become more prevalent. So when the Lyme became more prevalent, not only did she have joint aches, she had feelings of hopelessness, depression, not wanting to go on certain days. There were some days where I helped her shave her legs because she couldn't bend over, she was in so much pain or couldn't breathe.
Mr. Todt, did your wife seek a different way to health through the Eastern religion?
Yes, she did, sir.
And diet-based or worship-based, or what were the parts that appealed to her, and what was she seeking?
She was seeking control over her own medical care. Basically, anybody in a chronic illness wants some kind of control of their own self. She went from traditional medicine, she went to religious following of dictating what her healthcare was. She even followed a book from a guy who listened to a ghost who had no medical experience to tell her what she should be doing, what she should be eating, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're trying to make her seem completely woo-woo and crazy. Like, I'm not saying, listen, I don't believe a word he says, but being that he's on the stand, there may be, because he knows he's going to be cross-examined, there may be some validity to what he's saying right now in terms of maybe she was listening to a guy who listened to a ghost or whatever it may be, but he's really trying to push it and really trying to make it seem like she's really far out there. She was just doing all these crazy things. Who knew? Who knew that she was going to go and murder the kids? No. I mean, listen, I love a good um Eastern medicine just as much as the rest of them. I'm a Westerner that just, wants to be like, "Oh, homeopathic remedies and stuff." But I think he's pushing it. I wanna say I know he is, but I don't wanna assume that I'm in anyone's head. He did murder his family, though, because he was convicted, I can say that.
Called a medical medium.
Was there any discussion within that religious group about an afterlife?
Yes. This religious group could be conducted mostly by Skype or whatever video thing was at the time. I think it was Skype.
Objection, hearsay.
No,
That the means of technology. Thank you.
I would sit with her during some of these meetings.
The way he gets so annoyed when there's an objection, he's like rolling his chair around because he wants to finish his story. He's in the middle of his story. How rude are you to object to him? To him.
They would give her prayers to pray, to help with what they were talking about with what was called family lineage karma burning. Because as in the Bible, Roman Catholic, the same thing she followed was the fact that your past, your past family's transgressions follow forward multiple generations. So her, as you asked, please repeat your question, just so I can make sure I repeat it correctly.
Was there an afterlife component?
Mm. Mm. I just want to pause on that. What he just said was, in this religion, she believed your past family tr- tran- transgressions will follow you. Did he say to your afterlife, or did he say, hold on, I might bring that back just a tad because there's a point I want to make on that. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Family lineage karma burning. Because as in the Bible, Roman Catholic, the same thing she followed was the fact that your past, what's the word? Your past family's transgressions follow forward multiple generations. So her, as you asked, the
Okay, he said follows forward many generations. This is a great time to digress quickly into Anthony Todd's family. Anthony Todd, his father, Robert Todd, was arrested in July of 1980. July of 1980, and charged with hiring one of his former students to shoot and kill his wife because he wanted to marry his mistress. Anthony Todd was 4 years old at the time. He was 4 years old at the time, and he witnessed the attack on his mother. The would-be assassins were strictly ordered to harm no one else but the wife and did not harm Anthony. She survived. Oh, wow. Okay. Good for her. Okay, so he didn't kill her. He hired them to do it. But she survived and went on to marry someone else. My point is that that energy right there of the father doing that, and I don't know how that affected him. Clearly not well, but that energy just isn't, it's not good. It's not good. Did his past family transgressions affect his later life? That's not good.
please repeat your question, just so I can make sure I repeat correctly.
Was there an afterlife component of this religious practice?
Yes, there was an afterlife component in which each afterlife she believed that there was reincarnation. And as they burned the family karma in the current life, they reached a salvation in which they were reincarnated to a better life.
And was her desire to seek better health through this process by going into another life?
Better health and better relationships with people who had abused her and had verbally and otherwise affected her in her life.
There was some discussion about a suicide note, and that was apparently directed from Detective Cole Miller to Dr. Nara. Were you aware of any suicide note?
When I came back to the house that day, she showed it to me, yes. But I had no knowledge of it before I came home.
I'm slowing it down because of this suicide note nonsense. Look at his reaction. I need to hear about this.
That day.
And what was her demeanor or attitude at that time?
She was trying to explain to me what she did. She was trying to make me understand. It was the whole aspect of it was she was trying to present this as fact. And I was telling her, I don't believe that, I can't believe I called her some names, which I never called her before in my life. But the whole demeanor of it was,
Sir, I know they're getting into the story right now because it's about 27 minutes into the direct examination and, or I guess direct testimony. I don't know how to really refer to it, but direct. And, sir, you did not, like, I don't believe a word he is saying right now, but not only don't I not believe a word he's saying, his emotion is just so the- incorrectly placed, I guess is the way I want to say it. God. Okay. All right, let him get through his story.
this is what I've been told through my meditations. This is what I believe. This is what, as she referred to as, the light has provided for her, and the light.
Talking about your own demeanor and how your countenance.
My own demeanor when I found out what happened?
I'm sorry, I have to say it again, but he's in like he's uh, it was this and it was that, and then it's like objection, and it's like you're throwing off my story. I'm in the middle of this, okay?
I puked. I cried. I was in total.
This is what I meant to say earlier. The fact that he's trying to act up like he never called his wife a name. I'm sorry. Even And listen, I'm not going to say everyone's probably as dysfunctional as I am, but we've definitely had a name calling experience. Like, you. Listen, it's not healthy. I never said it was a healthy relationship. No, but you have your moments where you're mad at each other, right? And I think that is a healthier relationship because we express our emotions. The fact that and listen, I have heard of it before where it's like he never raised a voice, he never did this, he never did that, and then he just snaps and murders. I don't see him as a snapper. I see him as a nasty person. I see him as that guy that he's calling for the manager. He's trying to use that coupon and be nasty to you. I don't know what it is about his face. I don't know what it is about his temperament. I don't know what it is about his energy, but something tells me he is not a pleasant person and he never was a pleasant person pre this. Pre this. This it wasn't like he just snapped and murdered. Like for comparison purposes, I would say like Chris Watts. Chris Watts was more docile. Chris Watts was more like yes, yes, Shannon. Like he wasn't arguing with her. He wasn't name calling. I see him as like abusive and disrespectful. Listen, I could be very wrong, but that's the energy I get. It's just something about his face. It's something about the way he talks. It's something about the way he's trying to manipulate. You're not fooling me, Anthony. You're not.
Denial of what happened. I couldn't understand. And then after that, I was like, I want to get you help. I'll take responsibility for this. Just get help. That's all I wanted. I would do anything in my life to do what she needed, provide for what she needed, provide her a happy life. I held my wife on a pedestal. I didn't care anything to myself. I wanted her to have a good life, period. And I wanted her to get help. I didn't care.
Objection, not responsive to the narrative.
We'll try and work on shorter sentences so that everyone can keep up, and I'll be,
My apologies, sir.
we're fine. Have you progressed from talking about the afterlife to talking about what happened to your children and your wife?
I don't understand what you mean, sir.
When you said what had happened with Megan, what were you talking about?
What had happened that day when I came home?
Which day?
I don't know.
You don't have to talk about calendar date. What was the occurrence that made that day memorable?
I came home and my kids were dead.
Wow. Wow. He just said he came home and his kids were dead. That is a stark difference to what he said during his confession. He details in the confession how he killed each kid and then the dog and then Megan. Or no, I think the dog was no, he killed everyone else and then the dog and then Megan. Wow. He's up here saying that he came home and everyone was dead. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It was the most horrible day of my life. And what made it more horrible is my wife died in front of me also.
Had there been a blueberry pie that was cooked in the house?
According to what she told me.
Wait. I have to play it back. Sorry guys, because this is I told you guys this is the first time I'm really like watching it in a while. So I need to just hear this part again. Because did he say wait, let me just hear it again.
It was the most horrible day of my life. And what made it more horrible is my wife died in front of me also.
Did he say she died in front of him like she just died? Let's see what he says cuz that's the part that I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Had there been a blueberry pie that was cooked in the house?
According to what she told me.
Objection, hearsay.
And
Hold on just a sec, Mr. Todt. Response.
Describe what you know or saw and not what you heard from another person if
That's
you can.
hearsay.
thank you, sir. When I came home that morning, I knew my family the night before was having dessert, and I declined it because you saw my health. I was
I will say he does have a real tear. Out of all the like crying he was doing, that he has one real tear dripping down. It always fascinates how people can do that, but it took a while for him to get there. We're 30 minutes in. So he was able to muster it up for that. But yeah, whatever.
jogging and losing weight. I came home that morning, and there was a melted purple, looked like a pudding pie. I can't really tell you exactly what it was. She told me what it was later, but it was in a graham cracker crust. And the kitchen, it was my job to clean the kitchen. But when I came home, that purple, bluish, grapish, melted pie, I guess you want to say, the pie dish was sitting there on the counter with some residue on the kids, at the kids' places on their plates.
At that time you came in, you saw that there were desserts that had been served up on the table.
Is he suggesting that she poisoned them with the pie? I think that's what he's saying because this doesn't make any sense. And then she ate the pie too? Is okay, let's see what he
I saw the remnants of it, yes.
And then did you then discover that your children were dead?
Not initially, no. I had gone upstairs. Well, I had to, too much information, but I had to pee. So I went to the bathroom and came out, and my wife was at the top of the stairs. My house was very quiet. Very unnormal having 3 kids, one 13, one 10 at the time, the other one 4 years old. She brought me in the room. I had been feeling nauseous that morning anyways, because I had these shakes I was taking for weight loss, all that. And around the same time that she was telling me I was puking. It was then that I understood what had transpired. She had blood on her shirt. And after that, after I said a few uncolored words to her, I then discovered the kids. I went into the rooms and found them dead.
You see how he glosses over that? You see how he glosses over his interaction with her? I've said a few uncolored words to her. If you murdered my kids, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said to this. I will tell you. If I can't tell you, it's only because I can't remember because I'm in such a rage. But if I can remember, I'm not going to say I just said a few uncolored words to this person. No, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said to this person. Because how dare you? How could you? What have you done? And I'm calling 911 immediately. So, okay, let's see. Okay.
You saw the video yesterday where on the 15th, Cole Miller and another investigator in a tiny room talked to you at length. Did you have an agenda for that discussion?
I don't even remember that day. Last thing I remember was falling down the stairs and smacking my head on the stairs, which I resulted in a fracture of my neck. Next thing I knew, I woke up here. And seeing that video yesterday, that was the first time I saw that video. I had no agenda consciously.
What? What? He's saying he fell down the stairs and he had no memory until he ended up in jail? Of the confession? What? That doesn't even make any sense. He was completely coherent during the confession. It's not like he seemed drugged up. He seemed incoherent. He seemed not himself. He seemed exactly the same way we see him right now. What is he? Let me calm down. I'm sorry, guys. This, like I said, this is the first time I'm really watching this. Like, well, I watched it before, but like this is the first time. So I'm shocked by what I'm hearing right now. And this is why I'm gonna have a quick side note story. So this is why I was up for jury duty last year. I was like praying to get chosen because depending upon what the case is, I think I would be an excellent juror. The only part of being a juror that I think I would not be great at is my facial expressions. Because if I heard him saying that, that doesn't even make any sense. That does not even make any sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's a lie. Period. No, that doesn't even, your story doesn't make sense. Okay.
But I can tell you, throughout my relationship with my wife, especially after she got sick, I would put myself as a forefront and take responsibility and protect my wife.
You said in the statement that you stabbed the children and there was blood everywhere. Do you remember that from yesterday's video?
I remember it just seeing on yesterday's video. I wasn't aware of anything I said till about June, so maybe June or July, 6 months after I got here when I got the transcript of what I said that day.
Why did you say that you performed the incisions on the bellies of the children?
It goes back to the aspect is I was covering for my wife. Obviously unsuccessfully, because as you saw by the video, compared to what they said, I had no clue had my kids died.
Did you have ideas of joining your family in the afterlife?
After I saw everybody die,
Yes, sir.
after I saw my wife die and saw my kids, most definitely, I wanted to be with them. That's the only thing I wanted to be. I didn't care by what means.
So why didn't you do it? So why didn't you do it, Anthony? If you are so adamant that you wanted to be with your family in the afterlife, why didn't you do it? Why are you here talking to us? And also, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let him finish.
Care by what, anything. I sliced my wrist. I took multiple doses of Benadryl. I tried to hang myself several times. I bought a pellet gun to shoot myself because I couldn't get a gun to, as you call it, eat a gun.
Did you ever try to poison yourself?
With Benadryl, yes. And also, I was just under recently of medical care and I was given metformin for diabetes. And at one point, I swallowed the whole bottle of metformin.
Now, I think there was evidence that you remained in the house for up to 3 weeks after the day that changed your family's entire future. During that time, how many attempts did you make to take your own life?
I would have to go through them to count because in my head I can't count them. Do you mind if I tell you?
Can we close your eyes for about 15?
3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of him trying to figure out how he's going to get away with this murder. 3 weeks of him living in a house with his dead family members? Didn't call 911, didn't call if you came home and found your kids dead, what reason do you have? Tell me what reason you have for not calling 911. Or you suspect they're dead. I love how these murderers always know. Like they become super medical professionals. Like granted, he's a physical therapist, but they become super medical professionals. Oh, I know they were dead. There was no point in calling 911. I don't even know if that's what he's going to say, but that's what they say. That was what Chris Watts said. Oh, I knew they were dead.
About 15 seconds and try and formulate the answer.
On conscious recollection, I can tell you I remember at least 8 times. However, since being here and through other diagnostic testing, I found out there were additional times. So 10 times, at least.
And was Benadryl the primary agent that you were trying to use?
Benadryl Benadryl was one of the agents. There was also a knife I picked up. I saw my wife stab herself. How hard could it be to stab yourself? You gotta be freaking kidding me. You see a knife with a blade like this, and you want to instill that into your body? No, no way. I chickened out, yes. I tried other means. I tried at least 3 episodes of Benadryl.
And did you not keep it down or vomit, or what happened?
Benadryl, as you know, can make you sleepy, okay? The first time I took it, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no plan of this. I just wanted to be with my family. I woke up, I don't know when, how long. Obviously, I didn't take enough. Next time, I took a whole bunch of, well, the wall dry, I remember that distinctly because that stuff tastes horribly. But the children's, which is no different, it's just a better flavor. I took, I think it was equivalent of 5 glasses about this tall I had prepared, okay? I fell asleep before I finished it entirely. The last thing of Benadryl, which I took when going back and looking at the dates and whatever, it turned out the day before that they came to my house. I saw the aspect of the 12th on one of the phones. At that time, I took over 200 pills of Benadryl. Now, mind you, a normal dose of Benadryl is 2 pills. And I took 2 family-size liquid Benadryls. In order to stay awake, and also because I was feeling nauseous, I took a Mountain Dew and an energy drink. The energy drink to keep me up because I kept falling asleep, and the Mountain Dew so that I wouldn't throw this stuff up. I wanted this stuff in my system. I was so frustrated I couldn't kill myself.
In the crime scene photographs that were shown to the jury, there was a Huffy bicycle in a box.
Yeah.
And were you prepared to assemble that bike?
God, my babies. That was to be a Christmas present to my daughter. I hadn't picked up the boys' bikes yet because the boys were some of my best friends, and I could never say. I went over there that night to.
Ask your next question, Mr. Wesley.
Did you open the box? Did you assemble the bike?
I never made it there to assemble the bike. That's where I went that night to assemble that bike.
There are also numerous Christmas gifts, wrapped Christmas gifts that were shown in either the photographs or in the inventory that's collected. Did you and your wife buy gifts and have gifts ready for Christmas for your children?
Yes, some of those gifts were ours. New bed set, not bed set, I apologize. Duvet cover and sheets and all that kind of stuff the boys picked up. There was even a dollhouse that we picked up for my daughter. It was her first dollhouse. And there was also presents there from their family that had been sent down, yes.
Mr. Todt, what could have prohibited Megan from killing her children?
I have no idea. We woke up that morning, she was pain-free. Everything was good. I took the opportunity to try to go over and put the bike together. I had no knowledge of this. I don't know what could have prevented it. I have no idea. And that's the biggest thing that affects me is the fact that I didn't even see this coming. They say, blindsided. This was a blindside by like a Mack truck filled with dynamite.
That's a lie. He's lying. If if even I don't even want to talk about if she murdered the kids, but let's just say if she murdered the kids, you would be thinking about every single thing that could have been done differently so those kids were not murdered. You would say, oh, maybe if we didn't go down the celebration, maybe if we didn't do this, maybe if we didn't do that, maybe if. But instead, you're saying there was no one to blame but her. I didn't even see it coming myself. If he really didn't kill the kids and she really did, the typical response, not saying everyone would, but I would say the typical response would be, it's my fault. I should have done something different. I should have did this different. I should have done that different. Instead, he is still putting 1,000% of the blame on her. It's all her fault. This was tough to watch, guys.
Sorry.
No, sir.
I'm sorry.
Collect yourself.
Tissue or something. I'm sorry.
Deputies?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Do you mind if I turn around real quick? Can I turn around?
He's such a gentleman. He doesn't want anyone to see him blowing his nose. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Do you remember the religious groups sending messages and having, I guess, prayer or singing sessions in Megan's memory and, information back?
I really do not understand that question, sir. I apologize.
Was the person who was thought to be the leader of this Indian or Eastern Indian religious group called Gari?
That was one of them, yes. That was the primary one, yes.
And they had individual contact with Megan, would leave messages for Megan and contact her?
Yeah, contacts would be via phone, via, like I said, the Skype computer thing, FaceTime sometimes.
And did they contact you or give you information that Megan had crossed over?
They didn't tell me directly. They had contacted my sister, and my sister told me that she had a conversation, that Megan was at rest and she crossed over. I don't know where that, I don't understand it. But to hold it in my heart, she crossed over and she's at peace and not suffering. That's all I can hope for.
Mr. Todt, did you kill your family?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Wesley.
We're going to pause it right here because that's the end of the direct examination. As you guys saw, when he was asked, did he kill his wife? His reaction is, no. And fake crying. Um, this was disturbing to watch just because, like, it. I watch a lot of my interrogations in my trials, like not half watching it, but kind of half watching it. So with you guys, I'm like really watching it. Like I'm 100% locked in. I'm not like gaming or doing something else on the side. So it's like when you hear how he's acting and you see what he's doing and you hear what he's saying, it's just like who's going to believe this story? Who did you think was going to believe this story when he was practicing this story in his cell or with his attorney? Who did you believe was going to believe this story? So you're telling me she poisoned the kids with a pie. That's the story I got. She poisoned the kids with the pie. You came home, you see this pie concoction of some sort, and you don't really know what's in it. And then she stabs herself. Why wouldn't she just eat the pie if the pie was going to murder the kids? That sounds better than stabbing yourself. He himself claimed he tried to stab himself. He couldn't go through with it, which I don't believe at all. I don't believe at all. Maybe he did try a couple of times to try to kill himself, but he's that much of a, there's a word I want to use, which I will not, but he's that much of a blank to be able to go through with it after you murdered your kids and your wife and the dog. Anyway, I think he's trying to blame it on the religion. He's trying to blame it on just all these different things, and he consumed all this Benadryl, trying to kill himself. It's just Anthony, please. So anyway, glad to say he was found guilty. We're gonna get the next part that we get into is going to be the cross-examination. I love cross-examination because it's typically hard when you're telling a lie to get through cross-examination, and he is definitely lying. I'm gonna pause it here. I'm gonna leave it exactly here when we start the next video, because it's going to completely transition into his cross examination, and you're going to see how he immediately changes just energy, right? Like, we'll have it still sped up for some of it just to get through it a little bit quicker, but his energy changes immediately once he gets into it. It's just like, don't you tell me nothing, because I'm telling you what the story is. It's anyway. um All right, guys. So I really appreciate you guys for joining me. We're doing this. We are doing this. So I'm gonna get through that the next episode, or the next portion, I really should say, of Anthony Todd's testimony on the stand, and we'll close that out hopefully in the next couple of days. But I really appreciate you guys joining, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, bye.